Namaste, Sunil Bhaiya. Welcome.
So here, thank you.
We may wait for a couple of minutes and then we may. Over to you. Namaste.
Namaste all. Good evening. So the follow-up meeting of the eSIP, which is conducted in November 2020, is happening every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. That is UHV content, and from 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. on Fridays with holistic health content. So this is also being live streamed in the YouTube channel of SIP. So several students are watching this in the YouTube channel, and the recording will be available in the YouTube channel of Students Induction Program of UHV. So we can watch that later also. Many students watch it later. Now what we do here is essentially the sharing by the participants, and regarding the content of the UHV which we deliver in the SIP, the Students Induction Program, and we discuss about some of the content in this, and then questions regarding the content and further sharings regarding this content. Now we have had several cycles of this SIP UHV content already. Now this is another cycle coming to a close, maybe with this session. The session on natural environment is very familiar to everyone, but we repeat that for clarity of everyone. We try to place the key proposals for the information, for the verification and validation of every co-explorer. And you can have your sharing, you can have your questions, reflections upon the content. So this is the major, how this is going to go on. The purpose is to have clarity upon the content and improve or enrich our self-exploration. Now this is the time of admission in many of the universities around the country, and it is high time for the faculty to be prepared to deliver the SIP content to the students in a few months from now once the admission process is finished. So we're going to restart this the SIP content of UHV from next meeting onwards. So here with today, we are going to finish this cycle with this natural environment. And quickly, if time permits, we may go to the sum up part also. So the key proposals will be placed and the other things may be omitted. If there are some questions, if there are some sharing from the participants, we can take them. Right. So we have discussed up to the society, harmony in the society till the previous session. Detailed discussion upon that we had in the previous session. Harmony at the individual level, how the aspirations and concerns are being explored in light of the proposal that the human being is a coexistence of self and body, was discussed. That is in session 4 or 5. And then we discussed about harmony in the family, the feelings in relationship. All those feelings were discussed in several sessions. And then harmony in the society. That was the last thing which we discussed. So the higher order of the human being than the society is this nature. So we discuss something about this nature and we go into the concluding part of this. So we have explored so far as individual human beings, we want to live with happiness and prosperity in continuity. Collectively, we want to live in a humane society. This is our aim. Then we will explore regarding, is there a provision in the nature for living in harmony? That is, we examine these two questions. Is nature by way of harmony or is nature by way of struggle, survival of the fittest? What do you think? Is nature by way of harmony or is nature by way of survival of the fittest? You can put in the chat box if you think the blue colored one is your choice. You can put 1 in the chat box. Or if the red colored one, that is the survival of the fittest, is what you choose, you can put 2 in the chat box. Yeah, you can see where Lakshmi Ammaji is typing harmony. That is, nature is by way of harmony. There is a natural harmony there. Yes. Purnimaji is also typing harmony in the chat box. Very nice. Any other exploration? Any other sharing? Well, mic is provided to many of the participants. Yeah. So there is a, what do you think if the students ask whether there is a struggle, survival of the fittest happening in the forest or happening in the nature? How do you respond to that question? Ansel is also typing in the chat box, way of harmony. Nice. But if the question, how do we respond to the question, is nature by way of struggle? If somebody responds that as the that as how the nature is existing. So struggle is there when we have an opposition. Or on the other hand, in every struggle there is opposition, possibility of opposition is there. And survival of the fittest means it is a competition happening in the nature. And in that you can see there is disharmony. So whenever we have this opposition or competition, as we discussed in the case of the feelings, or in other feelings, or the naturally acceptable feelings, these feelings are not, the feelings behind this struggle or survival of fittest, they are not naturally acceptable. We can see this. Except for the self of the human being, as we explored, there is harmony. Harmony is there in all the other orders of nature. That's what we are going to see quickly. And then we go into the discussion on harmony in the nature very quickly. So you can see, yeah, Prasanji, namaste. Mic is provided to you, you can speak.
Yeah, namaskar Bhaiyaji.
Yeah.
So just in continuation this question,
yeah.
As we are speaking about the nature, I maybe I don't know whether I may be correct. But what I find is, Vaya, particularly in the plants, initially it requires little care. We have to give the water. But again, we should not give more water, very frankly speaking. We should make it to again search that, and we are finding it. And I have very good example, because since last 5 years I have planted say not less than 30-35 plants, and I'm watering daily.
Nice.
Even around 3,000 square feet lot I have. So I find very much pleasant when I go there, I water there. And the way the plants are means they're talking with us. I find that the pleasancy. I always like to move there and have that experience. So definitely there is a struggle for the plants also. They have to move down to get the water and live. And when they live, definitely they also what you can say, very good looking, the plant, the leaves and all the shades of that. I think that is also in the human beings also. So everyone has to do his work sincerely, as well as hard work is needed in every what I can say aspect. And that only will make us rather or way to success, or as well as way towards harmony. That's what I wanted to share with you. Thank you.
Nice. Yeah, nice, Priya. Nice to see that you have been planting many trees and nurturing them. That is the first thing. Very good.
Yes.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have to observe whether there is struggle in the plant to go down, or is it just a recognition. So we will come to that later when we discuss about this orders of nature and how they are mutually fulfilling with each other. Whether there is struggle, or is it just an recognition that the soil is there, the water is there, so it can go down. And that is a recognition of every, maybe root of every plant. So we will see that in detail. We will keep this question, or rather this sharing open for the time being. And there is a comment in the chat box by Purnima ji that competition can be seen in nature today. Really, if you can little bit more elaborate what you are telling, what is a competition, what kind of competition, with an example or otherwise, it will be nice. Mike is there with Purnima ji. Ji, namaste.
Namaste, Bhaiya.
Namaste.
Ji, what I have typed in the chat box, what I really mean by it is, like, I have just recently joined an institution as a teacher, but the time when I was a student, I was seeing competition in every phase of life, like while preparing for the examinations, while preparing for some career opportunities. So during that phase of life, I was struggling somewhere, and I wanted to be the best. So that phase was not full of harmony for me. So during these sessions, I experienced that the ultimate goal regarding those competitions, regarding those examinations, was also to get a life full of harmony. So we should work towards it more. Rather than focusing only on the competitive world, we should focus more upon getting the harmony and getting good relationships in our family, with the nature, with everybody. This is what I feel.
So what do you say by typing competition can be seen in the nature today? That it is in the current state, it is there in the society or in the nature? What do you mean?
In the society, I would say.
Society. Yeah. Okay, fine. Okay, nice. Thank you. Nice sharing, Purnima Didi.
Thank you.
So yeah, this is the current state, and what is desirable if you are competing. Once you compete and once you reach the, say, height, maybe the best, like Didi was telling, to show that I'm special, to reach the topmost position, or to reach the first position, let's say. Then what do you achieve there? Do you achieve happiness? Can we see happiness when we reach first? Or can we see that the others are in jealousy with me? And it is my responsibility then to keep that open position, and that adds more disharmony, or is it adding harmony?
It was more struggle, I would say,
Struggle,
and
yeah.
harmony, I got to feel bad sometimes. I was not at harmony, I would say.
Yeah, nice. So, but this is happening. Struggle in the society, obsession for profit, obsession for money, thinking that money is everything. People accumulate things. There is fear in the society. So we have discussed about the human goal last Wednesday regarding what is desirable in the society. Right understanding and right feeling in the individual. Feel there's prosperity in the family, in every family. Then fearlessness comes in society. And then comes this mutual fulfillment or coexistence in the nature. So this is what we are working for. And that is a desirable goal rather than exploitation, mastery over nature, obsession for profit, this kind of wars, terrorism, etc. Right. Yeah. So with this, we are now going into this discussion, brief discussion, I would say, of nature, where now we have responded to the question nicely with your sharings. Nature is by way of harmony. That is what you type in the chat box. And then the struggle, survival of fittest is, in fact, not there in the nature. That's what we sometimes see in among the human being, and as Didi was telling, in the society, but it is not there in the nature. The carnivorous animals are there, herbivorous animals are there, trees are there, shrubs are there, grass is there, but there is a perfect ecosystem in the nature, and there is a perfect balance in the nature, unless a human beings intervene. Yeah, so no species will become extinct just like that. Yeah, Prabhat Paya is typing compliment. Yeah, all the species, all the animals, all the birds, all the plants, they complement each other. The number of smaller animals did not reduce when the carnivorous animals eat the smaller animals, and the amount of grass in the forest is not reducing when the herbivorous animals eat the grass or other plants. There is a perfect ecology, there is a perfect balance in the nature. We can observe this and see what is harmony in the nature. So we expand this like this as we did in the workshop. There are many units in the nature: air, water, trees, soil, birds, earth, moon, sun, metals. Also we have animals, birds, human beings, self, human body, etc. With a certain criteria, we will group them into these 4 orders. This is not the only way of doing this classification, but we can have maybe many other classifications. But based on this responses of these orders, or the responses of the units in the orders, we classify them on these into these 4 orders. For example, this physical order, which we see here, which contain air, water, soil, metal, etc., they have a definite response. Recognition, fulfillment, for example. Air contains several gases. So you can see sometimes the proportion of some of the gases will be some, and sometimes it may be different. Water is formed from 2 gases only, hydrogen and oxygen. So hydrogen is a volatile. Hydrogen is, say, getting fired by itself. Oxygen is helping this burning, but water, when hydrogen and oxygen combine together in a certain proportion, is a fire extinguisher. So this is happening in the nature. Soil, there are several particles in the soils. The gradation of soil will change sometimes depending upon the natural actions. Metals are there in the soil. So we can see the particles or the units in the physical order, they transform from one form to the other. There is formation, deformation, there is recognition, fulfillment in the physical order. There is no growth in the physical order. But in the bio order, what is happening is there is recognition and fulfillment. Plants, trees, herbs, etc., they have recognition, they have fulfillment also. But at the same time, there is growth. Respiration is there, growth is there. A seed, which may be of a few grams in weight, it may grow into a tree of tons weight, which is of the order of tons, many tons. You can see this growth is there. So that is the difference of physical order and bio order. There is growth, but in both the orders, physical and bio order, this response is recognition and fulfillment. In the animal order, there is possibility of this assumption in the animals and birds. You can see that animals and birds, they change their assumptions based on their information. So largely, as we discussed in the previous sessions, animals and birds, they work for physical facilities. And for example, food, shelter, etc. So when they work for these physical facilities, they have certain assumptions. Those people who, let's say, if they are associated with people also, then to those people who are giving them shelter, food, etc., these animals have certain kind of assumption. And to those other people who are trying to harm them, they have a different kind of assumption. You can notice this. This is very evident in the domestic animals, right? So then there is possibility of this assumption in the order. So we have assumption that the recognition and fulfillment based on assumption. We have this animal order. Animal body is in coexistence with self of this animal. Somebody's mic is on, I suppose. Yeah, now it is mute. So the recognition fulfillment in the animal order is based on assuming there is the presence of self is there. Human order, we have this potential for knowing in addition to assuming. So our assumptions change based on this knowing. Recognition and fulfillment in the human order is based on this assuming, changing assumptions. Right. So that is the basis of this kind of a classification into physical, bio, animal, and human order. Right. So this we have seen in the workshops. This is just a recap of what we have been observing. Now, when we discuss about this mutual fulfillment between the physical and bio order, it is very evident. The bio order, they depend upon the physical order for their survival. The trees and plants, they are rooted on the soil. They absorb water from the soil. With the help of sunlight, they produce their food. So plants, trees, herbs, etc., they have this capability of production of food. And now, on the other hand, this plants have actually grown from the physical order. So I said a small seedling or a small seed, it has a very few grams of weight. After some time, maybe after a few years, it will grow into a tree of a big size of tons of weight. Yeah, Deepika ji is asking about metals. Metals are there in the soil, part of the soil. When the chemical composition is changing in the soil, the formation of metal, for example, iron is forming through this formation or deformation. And these metals, for example, iron, when it comes into contact with water or moisture and air, there is possibility of rusting. So these are existing in the physical order, and a metal can change from one form to the other through this chemical changes or physical changes. The plants, they absorb these minerals also, these minerals from the soil, and they grow. So we can also say that the constituents or whatever is there in the plant body, like cells are there in the plants, they are part of the soil initially. So the plants grow absorbing these minerals, soil, water, air, etc. And so the soil become, let us say, soil become part of the plants. And when the leaves of the plants, they fall down, they become part of the soil. When the plant itself dies after, or it decays after some time, it becomes a part of the soil again. So this cyclic nature, this interconnectedness between the bio order and physical order is very evident. Interdependence. So there is dependency of the bio order with the physical order. There is dependency of the physical order also with the bio order. So they're mutually enriching. In fact, when the plants become part of the soil after their life or after their decay, the soil is getting enriched. The fertility of the soil is getting enriched. Is it not? So every unit is enriched. Every unit in the physical order is enriched through the bio order. Every unit in the bio order is getting enriched through the physical order. We can say broadly like this. So this enrichment or this harmony can be seen in the physical and the bio order. And we can also notice that there is abundance of this physical order for the bio order to thrive. Now, when we add this animal order also into this particular system, you can see harmony among these three orders. Animals, they have this assumption, they do not have this potential for producing their food, so they depend upon the bio order for their food. Animals and birds, for their shelter, they depend upon the physical order. Water is required for the animals and birds for sure, for their survival. So other minerals are also used by the animals and birds. Then they depend upon the bio order, the plants, trees, etc. for their food. So that is enriching the animal order. In return, the animal order help the soil to become fertile through the animal or birds droppings. And when the animals and birds, when their body decay, so they become part of the soil. So this is again making the soil fertile. They help the bio order also to enrich through transporting their seeds to a distant place. All these things can be seen. G. Purnamaji is typing in the chat box, the interdependence of every order can be considered as harmony among all the orders. Yeah, so in this discussion, what we can come across is that these three orders, when the human order is not in place, these three orders are in harmony. There is interconnectedness between the two orders, and there is interdependence between the two orders, between the three orders, I would say, not just three, not just two, but three orders. And every unit in the orders is enriched. Nice. So what happens when the human order is coming into place? That is what we observe, and that is a key thing in this discussion. Human order, the human beings require all the three orders for the survival, for the life, for the growth, for food, etc. So human being, for example, depend upon the physical order for their dwelling units. Water is required for the human being. Air is required. Air and water are part of the intake also. Metal, soil, etc. are being used by the human beings for making their dwellings. Similarly, the bio order is being depended by the human order for food. We can see this very easily. And animal order, we depend upon the animal order for several things, transporting, for maybe for milk, maybe for many things. You can see this. But what we give in return to this? Do we return something without having this right understanding? Do we return something to the physical order, return something to the bio order, or to the animal order? I think we have a discussion of this in the last meeting also. So I fear if it is a repetition. So in that case, we'll go very quickly and we'll go to the sum up part. Yeah. So if there is lack of right understanding in the human order, the return is not happening. So this is what is happening in the society. The percentage of forest in the entire earth is now coming down because of the human actions. Number of trees which are cut down is increasing drastically. The number of species of the animals who are extinct is also increasing drastically. This is happening because of the lack of right understanding. If the resources are being used in this phase, sooner we require more than say 3 or 4 planets for our life. But we have only one planet. So the only possibility is to conserve the planet, conserve the Mother Earth. Yeah. So what is required is this natural acceptance. We can see this through our natural acceptance. When we depend upon the other 3 orders for our survival, physical order, bio order, and animal order for our survival, if I see through that, through the natural acceptance, we can see we have to return. We have to enrich the nature also. We have to return back to the physical order, enrichment of soil, enrichment of water, enrichment of metal, etc. Bio order, if you cut one tree, we can take the responsibility of growing more than say one tree. We can plant more trees and we can help the trees to grow also. That's also very important, as I was sharing just now. Then in the animal order, when we take something from the animal or when we seek the help of the animals, we can help them to live, help them also to nurture. So prosperity is coming into play here. With a feeling of prosperity, we can return back to the nature. When we can produce these physical facilities with our skills, using the resources from the nature, it is our responsibility to repay back, to return back. So this, with this right understanding, the potential for understanding is there in the human being. The potential for knowing is there in the human being. With this, the mutual fulfillment can be there among the 4 orders. So with this right understanding, we can pay back to the physical order. We can be helpful to the bio order. We can be of help to the animal order also. So this cyclic mutual fulfillment part is coming there when the human being is having a right understanding. So with right understanding, we can plant more trees than we cut. We can help the soil to enrich. It was noticed that in some place of the country, the water table has gone down by more than say 30 meters because of the human action, because of the continuous drawing of water and other actions. So if you can conserve this rainwater, if you help the rainwater to flow through the soil, then it may help to improve the water content in the soil and thus increase the water table. So I hope these things are discussed in the previous session. I now remember what we discussed in the previous session. Right. So the key point here is with right understanding, the human beings can help enriching the other 3 orders of nature. This is it. So dependence on the previous orders is what is being referred in this particular pyramid. Physical order is the largest, that is standing on the bottom of the pyramid. Bio order is standing on top of the physical order. It depends upon the physical order. Animal order is standing on top of the bio order. So animal order depends upon the bio as well as physical order. And human order is standing on top. This is of recent origin. And human order depends upon all the other 3 orders. So physical order is available in abundance in the nature. So it is our responsibility to see that there is nurturing in the nature when we take some resources from the nature. Dependence of any order is on all the previous orders as we discussed. The quantity is the physical order is the largest, human order is the least. Yeah, so problems like global warming and climate change, we can have a long discussion upon this when we discuss this with the students. Right. So what do problems like global warming and climate change indicate? Do we have a role in this global warming and climate change? There is sea level rising. Several of these land areas, they drown underwater. This possibility is there. Climate change is there because of several reasons. But the major question is, there may be some natural reasons for this, but what is the role of the human being? Does any of the activities of the human being directs towards these problems, or rather helping the problems rather than finding a solution? So whether any of the human activities is helping this global warming, whether any of the human activities is helping this climate change, pollution. Purnamadi is typing the chat box regarding pollution. Yes, pollution and resource depletion. These two are the major things which human beings do. So unless the human beings intervene in the forest, there is even no waste in the forest. During the COVID time, we could see the Himalaya, the hills very clearly from very far distance, very long distance. It was possible. The animals and birds were moving freely through the road because the roads were empty of human beings. The human beings were shut down during the lockdown period in the COVID time. So nature was nurturing just like that at that time, but now it is back. That the COVID time is lockdown time is nearly over. I won't say COVID time. It is still there. There is no lockdown. People are there on the street. The air pollution is back in places like Delhi, and you cannot see the Himalaya from far distance or even from small distance. So the pollution is, in fact, a man-made phenomena. Are you able to see this? And that is helping this global warming and also the climate change. I can give you plenty of examples, but I don't go into that because this is just a recap of what we have been discussing in the previous session. Now, from next session onwards, we are going to start from the beginning of this SIP sessions. So this nature is being given here in sum up: physical order, air, water, soil, metal; bio order, trees, plants, herbs, etc.; animal order, animals, birds, etc.; human order, human beings. So all these, except the human being, are in harmony. There is a relationship of mutual fulfillment or harmony among these four orders. The first three orders are mutually fulfilling for each other. They are fulfilling for human beings also. It is naturally acceptable to human beings to be fulfilling for all these three orders. Are we doing that? We can examine ourselves. Are we actually doing this? The role of human beings is to realize this mutual fulfillment. For this, all that human beings need to do is these two things, which are given in bold letters. First one is to understand that mutual fulfillment or harmony is inherent in nature. We don't need to create it. That is the first thing. What we do is we are harming, ruining this inherent harmony. So what we can do is we don't need to create this harmony, rather help it to nurture. And we have to live accordingly as a second point. The mutual fulfillment amongst these four orders will be realized. And there is a provision in nature for living with mutual fulfillment. So this is what we have discussed in very brief. And yeah, we can also discuss regarding this Homer's event towards the end of that session. Like global warming and resource depletion are two problems of the current time. Are these natural occurrences, or are they due to lack of right understanding of nature? Right understanding of human being of nature, I would say. What do you think? Is there a role of human being in this global warming and resource depletion? You can use the chat box. Mic is provided to many of you. You can use your mic also and respond. I provided mic to many others, those who did not have mic. Any sharing from your side regarding the questions? Do we have any role in global warming and resource depletion, or is it something happening naturally?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Ansel.
Say that regarding my role is that to limit the usage of the components or the equipments which can indirectly cause an increase in this atmospheric temperature, which in turn shall cause global warming, like limiting the usage of this air refrigerators, air conditioners and refrigerators, and also the aerosol sprays, which shall contribute to an extensive limit in increasing this amount, sir.
Nice. Air conditioners, but there are plenty of them. In fact, what happened last time when we discussed this SIP, or this part of the SIP, to be specific, at the main campus of the university, we were actually discussing this in a centralized air conditioning hall. So when I have been discussing regarding this global warming, one student stood up and said, "Sir, we are actually sitting inside a centralized AC hall and discussing about global warming." So these two are contradictory. Haha, I was laughing. Yeah, this is true. So what is the way out? What is the way out? You can think of this. So students can take up this as a project. Is there a natural air conditioner? Or can we have more ventilation than these air conditioners? Or can we reduce the use of these air conditioners? Is it possible? This is our choice, whether to go for, say, closing all the ventilation and go for a centralized air conditioner, or whether to go for ventilations in the building with limited use of air conditioners. I would say no use, limited use. Like that, the students can come up with their own exploration regarding how to reduce these sources which cause global warming and resource depletion. You can try to reduce. That is what Purnima Didi is typing. Yeah. You can also watch the video, the story of stuff, which is telling about how the resource depletion is happening, how these products are being produced from exploitation of nature, and where the garbage is going finally, how much garbage is produced. It is being said that 99% of garbage. So where do this garbage go to? Again, back into the soil. But much of this garbage or much of this waste is not biodegradable. Yeah. Okay. So these are big things to discuss. So we can have this question to be responded by the students during the students induction program with regard to global warming and resource depletion in connection to this harmony in the nature. Now the other question is 12.2. Do we human beings have a role to play in the nature? Yeah, that is what we have been discussing. What's the way out? To further develop the harmony in nature, at least not to disturb the harmony in nature. To make right utilization of the physical facility, after all, it comes from the rest of the nature. And to evolve a way of living in harmony with nature. So with a good explorations, the students can come out with very good projects with which we can stop, rather reduce this global warming and help nurturing this nature. Then what are some of these activities you can do in contributing to the harmony in nature? So this can be given as assignment to the students, and some projects, if they come out with this, that'd be very nice. Yeah, so this is what we cover in harmony in the nature. So this starting from the basic human aspirations to or introduction part, basic human aspiration part to the harmony in the nature, there are close to 13 or 14 number of sessions. Now there is one more session which is the sum up session. Let me see if I can take that session slides also just for discussion for today, and then from tomorrow, maybe from next week onwards, we will discuss from the beginning. Let me see, this is session number 12 or 13. Yeah, this is the sum up slide, which is session number 13 as is written there. So I will just go to that, present that. Okay. You can just type in the chat box whether you are seeing this session 13 sum up or harmony in nature last slide. What do you see?
It's sum up slide, Bhaiya.
Sum up slide. Okay, thank you. 13. Yeah. So here we sum up all the sessions which we have been discussing so far, and we give some program of action also. So at the core of it, we want to be always happy and prosperous. That is what we started with. Basic human aspiration is happiness and prosperity in continuity. That is why the word always here. We want to be healthy. It is not that the happiness and prosperity, which are feelings in the self, are important, but the health of the body is also important, because for exploration, self-exploration, the body is to be used as an instrument. So for the body to be in good health is a very important thing. We want to live in relationship with in the family, with friends, in the institution, with every human being. So this is discussed in extensively in the students induction program regarding relationship, starting from trust to the feeling of love, the foundational value of trust to the universal value of love. And we want to live in a just and equitable society. Now the meaning of justice may not be that much clear to the students, because in the UHV 1 part we don't give very much importance to this justice. We didn't discuss this justice part, rather we discuss the feelings. So recognition, fulfillment and evaluation of the human to human relationships is what we refer to as justice. If there is justice, that is ensuring this naturally acceptable feelings in every human being, ensuring this naturally acceptable feeling in myself first of all, and sharing these feelings with others, and to let them see that the feelings which are shared are naturally acceptable. This is what we refer to as justice. And if there is justice in the society, that is, if the human beings who form the society, all of them are having this naturally acceptable feelings, then we say there is justice. Equitable means it is not equal, but equitable is prosperity in every family in the society, in every human being, every family in the society. So we want to live in a society where there is justice existing and equitable or prosperity existing. This is our human goal. We want to have a conducive natural environment also. With our right understanding, we can enrich the entire nature, all the other three orders of nature. That is what we have just quickly saw just now. So we do not want any problems. For fulfilling our aspirations and for resolving our problems, we have to understand, ensure the right feeling in ourselves and participate in a meaningful manner in the larger systems in the family, society and nature. So there is every provision for this, only we have to make the effort in this direction, right? So this is what we want at the core of everything. So we have been discussing regarding this human goal and regarding this desirable state, that is what we refer to as human consciousness. So when this human society is established with right understanding and right feeling in every individual, with happiness, prosperity in every family, fearlessness or trust in every society, and coexistence or mutual fulfillment in the nature and existence. Then we have all the families living with human consciousness, or families living with the common goal. Then the requirement to fulfill the basic aspiration will be much closer, much faster. There is right understanding in the self of every individual, relationship with the other human beings, physical facility with rest of the nature. So when this relationship is guided by the right understanding, there is mutual happiness. When the physical facility is guided by this right understanding, there is mutual prosperity. This is the desirable state. All of us are working for this human goal and this desirable state. But the current state is this: we are making this circle larger and larger. Physical facilities, accumulation of physical facilities happening, depriving the other. This is my current state. I see that I am deprived. I also exploit the other, and I deprive the others also. When I cannot see this right understanding and relationship, there is unhappiness in myself, and there is unhappiness in the other also. So this is very closely connected to this inhuman society, where there is assumptions like money is everything without knowledge, accumulation by any means, domination, exploitation, fear, those are prevailing in the society. Then mastery and exploitation of the nature also. So we have to work here. This is not a society, but a crowd or a battlefield where we have to work upon, and we have to change this current state to the desirable state, like this. So all of us are in the transformation from this current state to the desirable state, from the inhuman society to the human society. So people living with human consciousness give rise to a human society. And we are making effort for this transformation. We want our institution to be a living example. That is what we can do through the UHV cell in the institution, with the help of the students in the institution, with the help of the teachers in the institution. So what is the program of action? This also we can discuss with the students finally before we close. To understand harmony and live in harmony at all levels of being, that is a primary thing. Individual, family, society, nature, and existence. For that, I have to see what I want to be. What I want to be is my natural acceptance. It is my intention. So discover this, what I want to be. And the program for that is self-exploration. So we can verify the proposals on our own right understanding, feeling and thought of harmony, harmonious behavior, work and participation. In larger order, that is a result. So this is what I want to be. So I can see what I am, what is my present level of competence, what are my desire, thoughts, expectations. So this potential for desire, thoughts, expectations is there with every human being, but the content is different. So what this state, what I am, if it is guided by this natural acceptance or my intention or what I want to be, this is what I want. This is what I refer to as improving my competence. For that, what is required is, first of all, self-awareness is required. So be aware of your desire, thoughts, expectations. We can have observation for this. At every moment, we can observe what is my imagination, what is my desire, what is my thought, what is my expectation. So seeing the desire is the most subtle or difficult thing over there. We may be able to see the thoughts. We may be able to see the expectation. So without flowing with the thoughts, we can see as another observer, as a different observer, we can see what is happening with me through the self-awareness part. And then once we have this self-awareness, or once we have this observation regarding the self, then we can have self-evaluation, evaluate the feelings, evaluate the desire, thoughts, expectations, on the basis of natural acceptance. So these three things are the program part: to understand harmony and to live in harmony, self-exploration, self-awareness, and self-evaluation. Discover, first of all, what I want to be and purify my competence. So people's education program for adults through people with right understanding and right feeling, parents, policy, like the stakeholders with people who are having this right understanding and right feeling. We can also have introduce this education sanskar program to the students of our institutions through teachers, like each and every one of us. So many of us are teachers here. So the courses are there in the academic curriculum. We can go by the courses. The third thing is societal development. In the society, to fulfill the human goal, we can work for that. Now the idea is to go to this family, world family, from a small nuclear family through establishing all these three things. Now, roughly the time required for this is like if we go by person to person, for one person, for you, for me to develop, it may take 10 years. In the next 10 years, I can develop another 10 people. In the next 100 years only, I can develop, or rather in this process, I can develop 100 crore people, which is roughly the population of the world by that time. But when we introduce this in the education sanskar program, then this may happen within 20 to 50 years. This is a possibility. But if you go into society and do this, then the time can also be reduced. So this is just a rough estimate. Time may be more than this or less than that, depending upon how faster these proposals are reaching the people. Yeah. So this is the program of action which we can envisage. Yeah. So this is what we cover in the SIP part of the UHV content in the SIP part. Now, a couple of minutes are left out. If there are some questions or sharing we can take. And from next Wednesday onwards, we will go to, we will restart from session number 1. Dhirendra Kumar Thakurji's mic is on. Bhaiya, do you have any sharing? Okay, this may be by mistake. That's fine. Anybody else is having a sharing or question regarding the content, what we discussed today or discussed in the previous Wednesdays? Or any sharing, any addition which you would like to place? Yeah, if there is no sharing, we can stop a minute earlier. That's fine. And we can start from the session number 1 from the next Wednesday onwards. Thank you so much for your participation. Over to you, Bhaiya, for the closure. Yeah.
Certainly, Bhaiya. Yes. Nice journey once more, going through all the modules and have a very enriching discussion throughout. So thank you, and it's time also to respect the circadian rhythm, and we meet again with a new beginning, new journey for all the modules. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, all the post viewers. Namaste, everybody. Namaste.